Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the SNRspeaks YouTube channel. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are actually having an amazing day. Just got off from work. Having to actually chill out with your family. Having dinner. Probably you guys are actually watching this. Thank you very much. All right. So my name is Sophia Ali. All right. Thank you very much for actually tuning into this 30 minutes chat with Myrra Baity. So at SNR Speaks, we actually wanted to actually showcase and also advocate the unconditional conversation. So tonight, our 30 minutes chat with Myrra Baity is going to be a fruitful session because I promise you that we can just talk about female hustling and how she herself as an individual hustle, especially during this new norm. So without further ado, I will actually invite Myrra Baity. She's actually very excited on the other side of the screen. Hey, babe. Looking,
Thank you for having me.
you're most welcome. Thank you very much for actually saying yes to this 30 minutes chat. Actually, I know it's actually short, but I promise you that probably we can take a little bit of a time, to actually social to interact. So, guys, I want to share a little bit like who is actually Myrra Baity. Myrra Baity is actually a journalist where she kickstart her career with R.AGE. If you guys notice under Star Online, so there's the one initiative called R.AGE, right? So she's one of the journalists over there, empowered so many projects under with her team itself. So I don't want to take on the mic because tonight is definitely about you, babe. So take on, passing to you.
Thank you so much, Sophia. So my name is Myrra Baity. I got my start at R.AGE or R.AGE. I've usually like the reason I joined R.AGE was because of their project called Predator My Phone, which is amazing. Like they had journalists go undercover to expose sexual predators who were preying on underage girls on
Okay.
chat apps. And I remember looking at it, and I remember being lost at that point, right? I remember being so lost at that point. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I was in science stream, and then I went to like matriculation, and then I was in science stream there, and then I went to Sarawak for cognitive science, which
Oh,
is, by
okay,
the way,
wait.
a course that, yeah, doesn't exist anywhere else.
All right. Oh, so
And
you were
then
in
I was like,
Sarawak.
sorry?
So you were in Sarawak for quite some time.
I was in Sarawak for 4 years, and I did my final year project on philosophy of mind. So the cognitive
Oh,
science is kind of like the science of the brain, but also the mind, but also like AI and a little bit of like programming. The goal was like, okay, if you can understand how the mind works, you can create more technology that
yeah.
can facilitate, like growth and innovation. Practically, like usually you only pick one or the other,
Uh-huh.
and I was mostly on the soft sciences lah, so like the psychology, the cognitive design and thinking philosophies, that kind of stuff. So I was like, imagine lah, this weird ass course, and I was like, where am I gonna go? And then literally I was sleeping with my cat in my lap, and I looked at YouTube because it was on autoplay, and this random video came up, and it was this undercover this girl who was going undercover. She's my ex-colleague. She's now studying in Netherlands. So she went undercover, and then yeah, so to go on the actual dates with this child predator posing as an underage girl and to record what they were saying. And I was like, wait, this context looks very familiar, like this looks like KL Central. And I was like, wait, is this Malaysia? So I was like, oh my God, yes. Like immediately in my head, I was like, I need to go there. So it's always been from the heart. I think I chose to work at R.AGE. And then when I finally jumped in, I was an intern for like 5 months, and I worked my can I say the explicit
Unconditional
version of
conversation,
butt?
babe. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I worked my ass off to learn how to edit. I'm not that good, but at least I know basics enough to get me through the door, just enough to get me through the door. And when I was through, I had the privilege, and the like, oh my God, the absolute privilege and wonderful, but also stressful experience of working on like projects that are close to my heart, and that includes one project for female circumcision in Malaysia. It was called The Hidden Cut. And also when I was there, I got to not just be a journalist, but also I was able to work in the campaign management side, which is how me and Sophia met. Like we met like
Yeah,
in events
definitely.
in management.
I was
Um,
actually very excited to actually work hand in hand with you because I like how Star Age actually work. In terms of you guys are actually all millennials, young adults, very jovial, very excited, and actually to have that unconditional ideas to actually throw it in your project is just mind blown. To actually see that result and to get it displayed under a local media powerhouse is just so brilliant, babe. So yeah, sorry to actually interrupt. Yeah, go ahead.
no, girl, go ahead. Like, I mean, like, go ahead, man. I ain't gonna say no if you're gonna gas me up, you know, and like gas rage up because I feel like, like, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great place because we're like a bunch of optimist idealists who
Mhm.
got a place to channel that emotion and that feeling of, because you see injustice happening every day, and I think a lot of people feel angered by it, and I also felt angered by it, and I was just tortured by it, and I was like, I can't not try to do something to help.
Yeah,
I just, yeah, because then I like, it's selfish also because I'm just like, I'm a drown, if it happens. So I'm gonna try and make as much of a difference as I could. I mean, you're never gonna change the world, but if you can change a little corner of the
yeah.
universe, that's the best that you can do. So yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I
and I
mean,
also got the host. So
yeah, I mean, it was a great. I think it's actually a deeply honored for me tonight to actually have this 30 minutes conversation with you. Because understanding that we used to work hand in hand. Right before I left the media industry, and now I'm actually in a different industry, but it's actually an amazing industry to work with because it does not just give you some sort of like feeling. It just depends because like when we get involved with the project recently, right? Like you became the host. So I think what appreciate me at most is that is the after part of it, like because we got to social after that, because even though you have been
yeah,
working at Star for quite some time, but it was only hi bye. So this conversation 30 minutes
betul.
to actually get to know you better, like to socialize, because this is actually the new norm of it, babe. So
Oh my
ha.
God, betul. This is like
Right.
social interactions. Yeah,
Yeah.
like social interactions online, relationships online, like everything's happening online,
But I still love
It's
physical touch.
crazy.
I
I
think everyone
know.
seeing you, like all these
Hug,
photos are
hug,
nice
hug,
stuff.
hug, virtual hug. Mm.
So cute. Babe, you might want to tell the audience, like, what do you do right now? Are you still doing emceeing, voice recording? You actually mentioned to me, right, that you're actually doing some freelancings at the moment, right? So maybe you can share with the audience. Yep.
Yes. So okay. So when I was at Rage, I mentioned earlier that I managed to work. I put on different hats, right? So I got to be a journalist, but I was also kind of project assistant, project managing, and ideating campaigns or ideating programs. At the same time, I also got to write. I got to plan shoots. Which is what a line producer does, And then I got to talk to meet and talk to handle celebrities, like customer service, because it was a public facing campaign. It was a bullying prevention kindness campaign. So
All
not
right.
only so it's like you got to be customer service, but somehow you're a kindness campaign, so like if you f up, you know
But what used to
um,
happen, babe? What used to happen, right? Yeah.
yeah, and I also got to host as well. So I guess when I left Rage, it was a kind of the reason why I left Rage was because I think for 3 years, I've been working on one campaign, and it was a great campaign. And I think a lot of like I managed to, like, we were working with kids in primary school, in high school, and it was about bullying, and like and we use kindness as an antidote to that. um and it was really, really amazing, but I'm going off track. So it was a hole that was left when I left, because it was just 3 years, and it was kind of like getting repetitive, and if it continued on for a fourth year, like I would have spent 4 years of my life on one campaign, and even though it was really amazing, it was a hard decision to make, but I was like, okay, you know what, I need to I need to chill. And yeah, and I guess I was burnt out a little bit. It's like kind of if you go in with all of your heart,
Yeah.
which I did, like heart, soul, whatever, everything. Like
Are
eventually
you
you're
actually
gonna run
cool
out of
right now?
steam. Yeah.
Are you actually
Calik mata.
balance
RM30 dekat
balance?
Sephora. Lai. But yeah, so
This
like
is
it
the
left kind of
part
this.
I miss the most of physical interactions with you because we can
Oh,
go like, woohoo, to the max. Like, yeah, I mean, but babe,
betul.
this is the reality now. This is the safest way to interact. So we just gotta go ahead with it. Yeah.
Can in that spirit, I'm gonna be honest with all of you guys. I look really good up here, right? Up here. And then when I stand up, I'm in shorts. Like I'm just legit like in shorts.
We're ready to party, with that Harley Quinn blazer, right? Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
like,
god, yeah. This is Harley Quinn, my baby. This is my baby.
is
So
that
oh
the
yeah, sorry. It's not the what?
what we call that? Is it like a mannequin? Like what would you call that? Yeah. Kita
Um,
panggil apa? Is it like a
like the people who collect this are gonna be so angry at me that I don't know the name, but I think it's like pop something. So they have like these comic book characters from like different
oh,
comic books, different iterations, different universes, DC and Marvel, some movie characters, and then they kind of collect these. So usually
all
some
right.
people buy it, put it in a box, and then they trade it. But nah, not my Harley. My Harley can't be kept in the box.
Babe,
So
remember, we have Victor. Hi, Vic. Thank you for
hi
watching.
Vic.
By the way.
Hi Vic.
Oh my god, I
Victor
missed
was
yeah. Oh my god, babe. Yeah. I mean, recently we were talking about something that
Mm,
is quite interest and very close to your heart.
mm,
It's called the interest that you have about internalized misogyny, right? So,
yeah.
do you mind to actually share what does it look like? I mean, like, what does it mean, and what do you feel about it eventually? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I just realized I didn't answer your previous question first, so I'm going to answer that. So when I left R.AGE, very shortly, when I left R.AGE, I had a lot of things I was doing, and it filled like different parts of me because I felt I could grow. So when I left, I didn't want to choose because it was very hard for me to choose, like either journalism, writing, or like hosting or ideating. Those were completely three different things, and I wanted to, and I'm passionate about them, so I decided to freelance. So now I'm freelancing. So if you want to, if you, yeah, this is harmless, like not harmless, this is shameless plug, okay?
Okay,
If you guys,
so nanti I will still do it.
shameless, shameless. But basically, I'm a copywriter, I'm a copy editor. I ideate campaigns. If you want me to hook you up with like a production crew or with another crew, can. If you need me to MC in BM, can, in English, can. And also, wait, did I 1, 2, 3? Oh, and voiceovers. I sometimes lose track also. Um,
Amazing. That's good. That's why I call it the Myrra Baity chat 30 minutes with the female hustler. Everything under the sun, she can do it. She will get it done. She will find a way. So that is just amazing. Your friends say hi to you. Hi, Vic.
Thank
Love for you.
you. Hi, Kai. Oh my God, Kai, thank you for joining in. Kai, oh my God, I've known Kai for so long. Thank you for joining. Oh yeah, sorry, to answer your question, internalized misogyny. So I think we can break down. So I guess when we look at the word itself, right? Internalized and misogyny. So let's break those two words up, right? What does internalized mean? So internalized means that whatever things that you go that happens in your environment, that
Yeah.
this means your family, your friends, your society, your legal system, like ideologies surrounding a certain thing from the
Mhm.
external, you then take it inside you, and then it's a part of the process in which you make decisions or you think, right? And this can be conscious, but more of the time it can be unconscious, because these are external things that you are putting in, and you're like, oh, this is how the world works, right?
Mhm.
So that's internalized. So misogyny is categorized as a hatred, or a hatred towards women. So the terming is the terming is hatred towards women. But me personally, the way that I think about it, I don't think it's a hatred towards women as much as it is a hatred or looking down on femininity.
Okay.
And I would like to differentiate the two. So like if you talk about women, right, you're talking about gender. You're talking about gender meaning like what kind of who you identify as. You're talking about your the way that you appear. You're talking about your identity. But when you talk about femininity, it's a label that we put onto a certain set of characteristics that are considered feminine and are more and are not more, but like traditionally linked to women.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why I expanded it is because sometimes it's not because internalized misogyny. First of all, it's not just like when you talk about internalized misogyny, you say misogyny, you think of a man who hates a woman, but that's not what it's not necessarily the case. Like there is a lot of the case, but women can also have internalized misogyny, and we're talking about all types of women. We're talking about women who are feminists, who are not feminist, who are somewhere in between. Even for me, I've had a journey with feminism. I started with, I guess, Western feminism when I was in high school through debate, but as I grew into it and learned more about it and the different aspects of it, I started being aware of how I have hated my femininity and how I have like suppressed it or looked down upon certain feminine traits. And this is not just in men, but also in women. And the reason why I bring it up is I bring it up as a point like to discuss. I talk about it this way is because I think when we use that binary of man and woman, it becomes a war. Like
Yes.
when we discuss about it, it becomes like a war. Okay, it's like, okay, I want this, I want this. We're fighting against each other, but that's not the point of feminism,
Yeah.
right? The idea of feminism is actually really wide. And I want to just say this right out the bat. Yeah, my feminism is not your feminism. It's not anybody in the audience's feminism. And every woman and every man in different countries have different ideas of feminism, because feminism at the core is about giving equal opportunities to men and to women, as well as giving women and men choices.
Right.
And when I say women and men, I mean it also not just gives women the ability to kind of be more masculine or be a bread earner or be outspoken or explore their sexuality or not, or cover up their sexuality. It's all personal choice, but it also gives men the choice. It should give men the choice of like exploring their feminine side, like feminine side, quote unquote feminine side, meaning like the traditionally what you would call communicative, be like how to communicate, being more in line with your emotions, or wearing the color pink. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So all this,
Those days, right? I feel like guys who actually wear pink in color, they're actually supporting. I mean, they're quite feminist, lah. But eventually, if you to think it out loud, we our community associated in such a way like pink memang for like goals, right? Pink are not meant to be men because it's when you look at it, it's like very softy, very very soft color, very calm. So like
yeah,
it's personified to women, but well, men also have feelings, right? But if you could
yeah.
also share like in terms of a layman terms, because I'm sure because this topic, well, it's not enough for 30 minutes for us to actually fathom out, right? Yeah, it's
Betul, betul.
yeah, the reason why I nak cakap sebenarnya ni because right, it's very close to your heart, and I'm sure there's a reason why um it could relate to your personal identity, what you have experienced in the past and during your childhood, during your adulthood right now as well, so
Okay.
I just remember like Sheryl Sandberg actually mentioned when we talk about female hustling in the future there will be no women leaders, it's just leaders, right?
Yeah,
So we want to actually, I mean, I'm also supporting that society, but I think in local Asian culture in Malaysia, we are still quite far, even to reach 30% of the community pun, we are still catching up with it. So maybe
Yeah.
in layman terms, you might want to share, with the audience who actually watching, as like what is internalized misogyny in
Okay.
simple mannerism. Yeah,
Okay.
preach.
So I think
I
I'll
say,
give
yeah,
a.
your friend.
All right, sorry. So thank you for checking me, because I do have a tendency on leaning more towards the conceptual side. But yeah, I think okay, I'll give you a very personal example.
Mhm.
So growing up, I went to an all girls school,
Oh,
and first of all, it was great because I got to see the full range of femininity,
mm,
from like women who were very masculine to women who were very very feminine, and all of us had an equal chance at leadership, and to do whatever the hell we want, like without being like, because previously when I was in a mixed school, this is my personal experience now. When I was in a mixed school, there was an incident for the sports house. So I remember I was outrunning. I was like five. I was like from standard five, and I was outrunning all the boys. Legitimately, I was outrunning all of the boys, and we were going to. I know because we used to play catch every day, um, and come to a point where they wanted to vote for the head of the house.
okay.
I had my votes up. People were ready to vote for me, but I never got a chance because the teacher, female teacher,
Mm-hmm.
I remember because I felt so betrayed. She said, "Okay, for ketua, lelaki stand up,
Oh,
and then for penolong, perempuan stand up."
mm, yeah,
And at that point, I didn't even bother standing up because I was just like, "What the hell?"
yeah.
And it was also known in the school that actually the male head would not do anything. It would be the female head. So my question is, why are you there? you know
Yeah.
and moving to an all girls school, it was entirely different. But still, I felt like, because I hated going to an all girls school because all my friends were boys in primary school, and I thought that it was better to be a boy, which is why I competed with the boys. Like during high school, I would play football with the guys. I would play tag with the guys. I
Mm.
tried to, like, every time I tried to show my femininity, I would be called gadi. You know,
Oh,
yeah. I would be called
wow.
gadi. I would be called too much.
So,
Everybody didn't know why I couldn't shut up. Uh, so it was really, it was quite hard, and I internalized that. I think I was like, okay, in order for me to succeed, I have to be like a man.
yeah.
And when I went to an all girls school, I was very, very, like, I would look down on, like girls who cried, or girls who wanted a hug, or girls who wanted to talk. Which are, by the way, really good adult skills, like being able to talk to someone, being able to like self-reflect. Do you know what I mean? Like what I considered feminine traits, and
Yeah.
especially dressing,
Okay.
especially in the dressing, because I constantly felt that I would, like, if I walk down the street, I would get raped.
Ooh, regardless of how you were actually dressed up.
Yeah, because when I was younger, so my mom's a doctor,
Yeah.
and when she was working in Kedah,
Yeah.
she was handling she had this case lah, so it's very sad. This girl came in and she was pregnant. She was
Oh,
12.
okay. All right.
And then she spoke to the family, she found out that the uncle had been violating her. You know what? Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Raping her, and by today's standards, it would be considered grooming, because he was doing it since she was 9. And unfortunately, this is not the only case. It was one of a few cases that my mom helped bring to court. And so, my mom being a single mother, and me being a female child, and my
Yeah.
mom seeing the impact, understandably, she wanted to protect me. So she did that by scaring me. And so I was always hyper aware
Yeah.
of, like my, like even if I was not sexy, or I wouldn't show my arms, I would still be under the threat of getting raped. And so I
Mm.
kind of felt extremely uncomfortable with my physical appearance. I would feel really like I would I kind of wanted to. I mean, look, I like to shine, right? So I like the attention, but at the same time, I felt like it was sinful or it was dangerous for me to accept that attention because it meant that I would have to deal with violence. And then throughout my life it continued because like when you grow up and I talk to people and like my female friends have told me about, you know, their sexual harassment cases. I've been sexually harassed, you know, and it's not an abnormal thing, right? And when you think about all of this, you know, I start thinking about, you know, like why in the world is it that by virtue of being born the way that I've been born, and I had no choice in it, that I have to shoulder the burden of violence that might be inflicted onto me. And that was how I kind of got to the topic of internalized misogyny, because it's this kind of idea and a systematic kind of like hatred, but also dismissal of women and also of people with feminine traits. And that means like if I'm a woman, that means, oh, okay, you know what, probably go decorate the office or something, you know. Which legitimately happened to my PhD professor tau.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, my PhD professor, right? She was working in an office and then they were like doing the oh, thanks Ashlyn. So, oh, thanks Shashi. Oh, thank you for
You have
being
a
here,
great
guys.
all this. Yeah, guys, female hustling. You know, you have a lineup. Vic, thank you very much for supporting the female hustling. You know, because
Shashi also.
to actually revive who just joined, right? Myrra is actually currently sharing her personal experience, you know, about internalized misogyny and relating to her personal experience and how she, as a female, I could say she's an alpha female person, you know, in the society, having to actually discover so many issues that our culture just don't talk about it, or maybe we swept up under the rug, right? Just because we don't want to talk about a tough conversation. We are just too afraid. But tonight we're gonna have that conversation with Mara. So Mara, go ahead. Yep, continue.
Yeah, thank you so much
so,
for
so
the catch up.
your PhD lecturer
Yeah,
was
my PhD lecturer,
wow.
she went into so this is like in a faculty. I'm not gonna tell you which faculty lah. It's not at the university that I went to. It's a previous job that she had,
Okay.
and they were having like an event or
Okay.
something. So it was like, okay, cool. The guys suddenly decided that they were going to do all of the planning, like, and then they were just like, okay, you know what? The girls just decorate everything with flowers. And first of all, it's very presumptuous. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not fair
Yeah.
because like it's not fair. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck? It's like
Yeah.
saying it's like discrimination, because it's
Yeah.
like, what if you say, okay, like for example, right, let's say lah, and this is not my personal opinion, right? Let's say if I go, okay, you know what, you're a Chinese person, go do math, you know, like that's it's discrimination because
Yeah.
it's not
Discrimination.
yeah, because it's based on nothing
Yeah.
except of your idea of the other person
Yeah.
without actually looking at that person and seeing or understanding what they're doing. And that
Yeah.
is the impact of internalized misogyny. It's
Mm.
you feel like, because you feel like, no matter, like for me personally lah, it's just like
Yeah.
being on the end, on the receiving end of internalized misogyny. I
Yeah.
feel macam, you know, like I'm invalidated. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try,
Yeah.
in the back of my mind, I'm always wondering if I am here. Well, not anymore, lah, but before, I'm wondering, am I here because you are attracted to me and want to use me, or
Yeah.
am I here because you actually think
Yeah.
that I can contribute? And that's why I loved Rage,
Yeah.
because I knew that I was there
Yeah.
because they wanted my they wanted my, you know, my potential, my abilities. You
Yes.
know, they could see how we could grow together.
Yeah.
And I remember working in a place, and this is two incidences of sexual harassment at work. Yeah.
Oh.
So I
Okay.
remember before I joined, and this at this point I was about 17 or 18. I had two jobs, right? First job, when I was 17, the CEO hit on me.
Oh.
First job, fresh out of high school. the CEO hit on me and then continued to text me even after I stopped working on the project, which is extremely inappropriate. Okay. Second thing that happened was, in a particular workplace, there was a promotion at that workplace, and then what happened was one guy lah. So this person, so we met in we met in a social setting. We met outside in a social setting, and he made an inappropriate advance towards me, and I said no, right? And because this person works in the same in the same place that I did.
Right.
Yeah, this is before Stala. I was like, okay, I don't want to stir up any trouble. I'm gonna like carefully kind of like put you away, because I still felt like somehow I had to juggle this other person's ego, even though clearly I'm saying no. And I have to repeatedly say no. And it's like, why is my word, me saying no, it's not enough for you? Is it like you don't care what I think, or you think that you deserve to have that from me, as if it's something that's something that I have that you own? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Then that's where the entitlement comes from. And so it's a lot lah. That's on the receiving end. But also I also have internalized misogyny, because I grew up believing that women, I had to be a man in order to compete, in order to be relevant. I had to be aggressive. That was my idea of it. I thought that when I met a colleague, right, and she's amazing. Like, I swear to God, like the hell that I put her through is not something like we've talked about it, and we've apologized, and I've apologized to her, and she's very understanding. But basically it was, we live in a world where it feels like women need to fight each other. Like, as if there are limited spots. I mean, this is at least how I thought about it, right? Like before, I thought that I thought that there are limited spots as a woman, and you have to fight for it, because you have to fight against each other, because it's only going to be one or two positions for a woman to be able to stick to, right? And I saw this person as a competition, even though she could have been an ally. We could have grown with each other, but she was pretty, she was talented, and for some reason in my mind it became like a competition for limited resources. And I made things very difficult for her, which I really shouldn't have. And yeah, I even told her I became the aggressor. I told her that the only reason why she got hired was because of her looks, and that is so unfair. Like, imagine if somebody told you that, or somebody told me that, I would be pissed. Like, why am I going around doing this, right? And then right after I said it, I was like, what are these ugly thoughts? And I realized that it came from that internalized idea that you have to be pretty, or like, pretty and aggressive, and all of these different things together in order to succeed in this world. And it's not true. Like Taylor Swift says, we all have our crowns,
Whoa, man, Taylor Swift. Despite sharing where Taylor Swift, when you mentioned about Taylor Swift, right, it also goes back because I used to be a big fan of Taylor Swift. Masa kecil dulu, right, selalu dengar lagu dia and whatnot. So understanding her journey as well in relationship with guys, that the world thought that all of her songs are actually very much affiliated with all her relationship stories, right? But like, coming back to what you said, if I could share a thing or two, especially in relationship,
please do.
in our community, especially in Asian culture. Yuva, thank you for that point as well, because you taught me that. We don't want to say or what. In terms of the Asian culture itself, right? If you especially in our culture, right, babe, a thing or two, right? If you, once you get married, whatever you want to do, you have to seek for the consent from your husband. It's no longer like, if you are actually in a modern marriage, then it will be a combination of seeking consent. That's where you have a tough conversation, where you seek consent, you kind of like compromises, right? But well, it depends on your household, how upbringing. If your upbringing it's towards the more conservative side, so you are a bit more like a listener lah. As a wife, you have to be a good listener to your husband. So I could relate, like, also that one is in terms of relationship. how women are actually perceived in terms of conservative and also modern. But in terms
Mm.
of career, it's true what you said. Like, and I can fairly say that down the road, like women should not be. It's just breaking the stigma lah, at the end of the day.
Mm.
Kalau because we are also winning women, we are competing with men, to be there. Padahal like you don't need to look at my gender. What does my gender has to do with this? Psychological terms, yes, it's true. I might be emotional and whatnot, but what does that has to bring to the table, right?
Betul.
Because
In fact,
my
it can be
experience,
a add. It can be an addition.
yeah, there's a reason why I'm here, right? If like for instance, I have a friend who she's in the bot level. So what happened was there's a region meeting and whatnot. So she told me that Sophia, I had a regional meeting today, and it was quite surprised that I'm actually the only lady. And then I say like, why are you surprised? It's actually a meeting, not about gender meeting, right? You don't have to be
Yeah.
afraid of it. And she's like, no, do you know that I'm actually already not assuming, I've already expected that they're gonna kick me out because I'm the only lady over there and I'm actually holding.
Mm.
So then I told them like as simple as they are actually intimidated, babe. They are actually intimidated because they look at gender as the primary reason not to have you inside the board meeting, not of the qualities that you can actually bring to the play itself, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's actually applied in our culture, and it's just it sucks. It really sucks. But I'm actually very
Yeah, it
grateful
does.
because I'm actually in a team where yeah, I mean working with women hustling. Well, at the end of the day, we appreciate whoever, regardless of you are female or male, right?
Yeah.
You're still a normal human being, right? We all do the basic necessities. We all eat. Well, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you share about this internalized misogyny. It's a
Yeah.
term where, wow, when I Google about it, I feel like, nah, I'm gonna have a chat with my reference. Like, what is it all about, actually? Because you see, when we took 30 minutes, right? It's not enough, babe. It's not enough.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
not.
not enough.
Let me know if you guys
It's
want
not. But
part two. Cik.
I would, yeah, let us know if you guys want part two. Or maybe Mara can have the continuous share. So, babe, I want to also ask you, like,
Mm.
despite of all these things that you've been through, right, as a personal person
Mm.
as well, I want to know who actually inspired you, like every day. Like having to go through this process and event series in your life, and
Yeah.
you are someone who is actually very personal, right? You because you appreciate whatever happens to you, you really take charge of it. That's why today the female hustling is actually you own it, babe. Janganlah nangis. No. So yeah, maybe you can share like who actually inspired. I really want to know. I really want to know who inspired you every day. Yeah. Part two,
Man,
yeah. That's
honestly,
it. Part
my
two.
mom. Like, by the way, is
Hmm.
this Manskin?
Come again?
Is this Manskin, the music?
Is it from my end or your end?
Or this music? I don't know. Wait, is it on my end? Am I playing music in the background? Oh
Uh,
my god, yes! I've been listening to Stromae. I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's background music.
your girl can't wait to go karaoke, is it? Well, a bit more, a bit more. Kejap je lagi. Then we can have the karaoke session later after this.
Okay. Oh, sorry, to answer your question. Okay, so I think my real life inspiration would be my mom, because like my mom came from a conservative family, and
Mhm.
she's always had this fire in her, like because the time when she wanted to be a doctor, it wasn't as accessible,
Right.
but she never really let it get to her. So I remember being raised personally without that gender thing in my mind. She never ever reinforced this idea that like I should be limited by my gender.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, I realize that's a huge privilege, and it's not like me bashing any parents or anyone out there, because it's completely understandable, right? Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, is this external reality, this external world that we then we take up, and it's like, okay, this is how the world works, and then
Yeah.
we just want the best for our kids. But my mom has always been a rebel, and actually my grandma as well. Like my grandma was a rebel. My late grandma, she was a rebel. Oh my god, she was like in telecom. She was like Miss Telecom. She's like this local lady, and she had so much gall because she would talk to like the white bosses. The white
Yeah.
bosses. This is like in the 60s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she had the gall to do that, and she didn't even think about it. She was just like, yeah, this person is a human being, he's talking to me, I'm gonna, so like that, I think for me has been a privilege that I've had, to have a strong women in my family. But external influences, I would say Miley Cyrus. And the reason why is
Oh,
Miley
I
Cyrus.
love it. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, I freaking love her, right? Like she's always 100% upfront. Like even when she is not, even she's crazy. Like the time when she got on the wrecking ball and then she started dancing
Yeah.
naked in underwear and licking hammers. She released a
Yeah.
documentary talking about how actually it was all of a part of a plan to break out of the Disney shell. And by the way, we know this. Like if we
Yeah.
if you look at the career of Britney Spears, we look at the career of Christina Aguilera, we look at the career of there's always one point, right, when they have to be overly sexual in order to be taken seriously as women, to be
Yeah.
commodified as women. And it
Yeah.
starts with that huge sexual like outburst, and then after that, then you see lah, now she can do whatever the hell she wants. Like if she didn't do it, we'll still have that image of Hannah Montana in our head. And what I love about
Yeah.
her is that even though like I don't agree with all of her choices, like I don't agree with all of her choices, I don't think like you should follow her lifestyle, but I
Mhm.
think her spirit, that rebellious spirit, and that constantly questioning and pushing the envelope and trying to be as true to yourself as possible,
Yeah.
reminds me of the women in my family. Yeah, and also Harley Quinn. Again, I
And
don't recommend her actions, but but she has this can-do spirit. She's like in the comic books, in the new iteration of the comic books, not the classical version, the new ones. um
it's amazing because every humans. This is what I believe. Every humans. There are one or two characters that at the end of the day, we ourselves as human, we can actually mirror. We can actually take one a thing or two in terms of the qualities, and because at the end of the day, everyone has that thought of process, and we have brains, right? We can think. Some common sense may not be common to some people, but
Betul.
yeah, when you mentioned Miley Cyrus, it's straight up to my mind saying that we may not have understood what she has been through, right? There must be a reason why she needs to do that, because to break that stigma that the localities in the American culture has been nurturing towards her, like in the Hannah Montana and whatnot. So if she doesn't take that leap of faith to actually
As a
get out from
kid,
that,
she was a kid star. Oh my god, look what that did to
yeah,
Britney. You know what I mean? Like, it's
exactly.
insane.
So and it's also because of the exposure itself, when because she's a country girl, right? So everyone was expected like, oh, country girl ni mesti macam like, who would have thought like she could have become such a rebel person, right? But look at where
Betul.
she is right now, right? Breaking millions of records and whatnot. So I think what people want to know at the end of the day, like we like all these beautiful parts and whatnot, but we don't really account what that person goes through in life, right? We dismiss that because it's just natural, we as a human,
Yeah,
it
they're
takes.
rich. They're rich. It's okay. They can afford us bashing them. You know what I mean? That's. I mean, I feel like that's
Yeah.
maybe why people do it, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know why. Yeah, I cannot postulate on why people do things, but usually hurt people.
What do you mean by that?
I think that just similarly to the internalized misogyny example, how I've been hurt,
Yeah.
I then internalize it, and then I hurt other people because of the hurt that I'm going through. I'm projecting, I am putting onto another person
Yeah.
the pain that I am going through. And I think,
Mhm.
like, I don't think anybody wants to be angry. I don't think anybody wants to be sad. I don't think, so I just feel like maybe people who do or say hurtful things come from a
Yeah.
place of hurt. And this is something that I've learned from working on Stand Together campaign now, because we didn't just work on bully survivors or bully victims. We also worked and spoke to bullies,
Right.
and oftentimes they have very, they're not from a great, they have family problems, or
Yeah.
sometimes they have a learning disability, or sometimes it's because their inclinations are more creative,
Yeah.
instead of academic, and our education system doesn't support or nurture that, and so they feel out of
Yeah.
place, and so they act out. So like in adult life, it's a lot of things. Sometimes your colleague can blow up, your boss can blow up, and then you feel you're like, what the hell is going on? And then it causes hurt to you, but then when you talk to them, you realize why they were stressed out, you realize why they were angry. And that's what I mean. I think even with internalized misogyny as well, I think a lot of uh, like let's just take the simplest example, right? A lot of women, if a man were to were to hit on a woman for being feminine, it's
Yeah.
probably because that man also does not love the feminine aspects of himself.
Mm.
And we can't blame them, because society tells you that you're not supposed to be that way, the same way that society tells women that you're supposed to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it creates this false kind of like, oh, you have to be fully masculine, fully man, or fully feminine, fully women, when the truth is, when you meet in the middle, that's when you become a whole human being.
Yes.
um,
Agree.
and it's a
Yeah.
process of healing.
My God, such a wholesome explanation, babe. Coming from someone who just it's not easy to come on screen to actually share personal experience, and how you can actually still be able to say it
Thank
out
you,
loud
Ashlyn.
in a mannerism that is just fully. You have my salutation, babe. That's why when I wanted to actually have this conversation with you, I call it female hustling, because there's just so many powerful things that are just going to come in between this chat itself. So, which brings me to the next question. You know,
Yeah.
um, what do you think of a modern man with a patriarchal, conservative mindset?
Okay, I'll
I
change the context.
Okay, all right,
I'll
cool.
change the context a little bit. I'll talk about men, but also talk about women. So
Okay,
I think it's okay, and it's okay if you have a conservative mindset. However, um, there are certain things that have changed, and that we have to accept that change. So if you look at the role of a man and a woman in the workplace, or a man and a woman in the home, back in the day when women couldn't work because we didn't have good healthcare, and then we couldn't control, when we gave birth, or
yeah,
we would get married younger, and there were less like employment opportunities, and
yeah,
there was yeah, so in that, and when the economy was a bit better, now the economy is not that great, right? So like like the traditional way in which a man and a woman were expected to behave and interact with each other made sense, because in that economy and in that environment, like men were able to provide more because they were the ones getting hired, and so it as a partnership, the woman then took care of the home, right? And took care of the children because she birthed them. But if you look at the modern world and you look at the level at which we need to survive in the economy today, it has changed, because you need, unless one partner makes of money compared to the other partner, this is regardless of gender, right? Then
yeah,
both partners would have to work in order
yeah,
to be able to sustain a life together. And
yeah,
this means that like your role in the workplace as well as your role in the house has to shift. And that might sometimes mean that like the men need to help out with the kids, or might need to help out with the house chores, which are traditionally things that women are supposed to do. And then when the woman is working, and providing as well, which is what a man is supposed to do. So I'm not saying like a dude like that. That's up to you, right? What the way that you're supposed to do it. But now I feel like
what works?
women are expected to work take care of the children, as well as keep the house. And this is like in traditional,
Yeah.
in this like in very traditional, in traditional set. And the thing is, if you're a woman and you're okay with it, and you're a man and you're okay with it, that's great. You know, that works for you. But do not then go out into to like other people and say, no, this is how you should behave, because this is how I'm behaving, and this is what I want for my life. So I think it's about I guess accepting
Not
that there
seeking
is.
validation.
What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, like when you mentioned about like if it works within your ecosystem, go
Mm.
ahead. If
Yeah.
it works for you and your spouse, go ahead. But don't go out and asking for validation that it works for me. It should work for you,
Oh,
because
I
we
didn't
don't
think of it
know.
that way. You're right. It could be, because I was gonna
Yeah,
explore it from more of like, don't impose your
yeah,
decision onto your life onto other people. And I guess, yeah, I guess that could be that. That's a good point as well, because like maybe I don't know why they're doing it, but if the reason why you're doing it is because you need other people to validate your choices, you know, which is understandable because you live in a community, but you have to kind of think about how you're doing it and how it affects other people. Are you preventing them from being able to shine and fulfill their potential,
yeah,
or you know, or are you preventing that from happening, or are you
yeah,
trying to help them reach that potential, whether you know, like you're a guy who likes to sew, or you're a woman who likes to, you know,
mhm,
work in the be on the trading floor, or be a
yeah,
politician. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah, so it's kind of like that. So the first thing is, I guess, realizing that the context of the world is changing, the economy is changing. And
yeah,
also the second thing is, I guess, to respect, you know, like what other people, like other people's choices. And that's why
yeah,
I say my feminism is not your feminism, because, you know, like I have a friend, like I have a Muslim friend who, because
yeah,
people always assume that I'm anti tudong. I don't know why. Like I was talking about, so like they always assume that I'm anti tudong. And I think when I was younger, when I bought into Western, you
it's
know, like
beneficial.
feminism, I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, it's oppressive. That's what I thought. But then when I saw the Americans, like when so like the thing is, like in Malaysia is different, right? Because like the dynamic is different.
yeah,
The dynamic is different in Malaysia. But if you look at the US, the majority media there is very over sexualized. And when the Muslim women are fighting for hijab, the right to wear hijab there, they're saying, no, my body is my own. I have a right to show what parts of my body that I want, and it's also fighting for legitimacy of their, that they should be able to make those choices.
yeah,
And then when you talk to the like the some people in Malaysia, because I know some atheists in Malaysia as well, and they're like, oh, no, 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 that's oppressive. You know, like the tudung is a tool for oppression. But like, no, the context is different.
yeah,
The context is different, and even in our own country the context is different, because we have different cultures, we have
yeah,
different socioeconomic statuses,
yeah,
we have different levels of education, we have
yeah,
different you know, we have different states, and each state has its own different makeup of different people and different cultures. Like
yeah,
Negeri Sembilan punya laws for women are like, state laws for women are different from, you know, like Johor and Perlis and Selangor. And so
yes,
we
true.
have to take all of these different things
Yeah,
into consideration when we talk about, you know, feminism, when we talk about internalized misogyny, we talk about choice, because
yeah,
choice is personal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed, agreed.
So yeah, that's what I would say to the to the conservatives. I think don't generalize all feminists and all feminist movements,
Yeah,
because they're different levels. There's like level one feminism, which is to fight for basic rights
yeah,
and pass laws that stop discrimination against women, like the sexual harassment bill. And then there's like level two and three and four that
yeah,
deals more with the kind of like everyday woman interacting with the world kind
yeah,
of issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's amazing when you shared about, it's true actually, this wholesome, because when we want to talk about something that is just, I could say that one is actually a mass topic when we talk about this anti-tudong, comparing from the
mm,
western countries and whatnot. Because if we would like to actually have that comparison to our local community, I don't think so anybody who wants to talk about that should be very, not should be very equipped, but should be equipped, and they should come at least in between. because then the conversation would be a wholesome. Then it's not to say a win-win, but both of it actually understood. But oftentimes, I think in our local community, right, we have often, not just to say about comparing lah, in our local community pun, as simple as in a household itself, right? Contoh lah. Oh, let's say if you want to go work, sorry, if you want to go and study abroad, but you are the only child that is being privileged to actually study abroad, and your siblings are not privileged because they actually surpass that and they don't want, but you have been granted scholarship, so you left. But before that, your family come and like tell you, like, just be careful, because this country is not appreciating and whatnot. So that's some
Yeah.
sort of because like it's a replication, like why would you tell someone who has not been there, done that, giving her some sort of like thought, like, oh, it's gonna be worse. Of course, that person who's never been there, of course they're takut, right? So, and this is
Betul.
conversation between a man telling a young lady, so that's what I was and this is coming from a conservative family itself.
Yeah.
As far as like, if you have a brother, your brother tells you like, oh, if you want to go outside, pakai elok. So kalau you tak pakai elok, kemungkinan untuk you diroboh ada. So benda macam tu macam,
Yeah.
well, that's a separate issue lah, but we're talking about
Oh no,
conservative
no,
family.
no. It's actually not, because I feel your pain, because I mean my mom used the same thing. She's just like, be careful, because if you go out and you wear something, you might get raped. And it's like, I
Yeah,
understand why they want to. I understand why they protect you. I think there are some people out there who say, oh, okay, if you say that, that means you also think about raping women. That's not true.
yeah,
That's not the case. I think it's born out of love, because I think it's kind of like, oh, the world works this way. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And so in order for you to survive in this world, you have to hide yourself or to dim yourself. And the thing is, it's like, that is not the thing. Is we're accepting. So my issue with that is that, yes, it comes out of love. So don't. I think the intentions are good, but I think we are at a point where we can no longer accept um
yeah,
the a crime being done
yeah,
against a woman as
yeah,
normal, and then put the burden of the lust and
yeah,
the pain and the violence onto the woman. It's like saying, it's like
yeah,
saying to like a murder victim, oh, baguslah, siapa suruh you were here at this particular time, at that time, pada muka kena stab. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like,
yeah,
it's still something. It's someone else's negative intentions, someone else's negative action that is causing pain, that is done onto you. But you're
yeah,
the one who has to be like scared, and you're the one who has to dim yourself and not reach your full potential, and even actually face real physical and emotional danger. And I think we're at a point where, I mean, at least for me lah, I am
yeah,
done. I'm just like, why, because of your lust, and because of you not respecting me, my personhood, my ability to say no,
yeah,
what I want, because you don't, because you
yeah,
might or might not see me as a human being, or at least lesser than you, because you think that you can take and treat me however you think is right. I'm done. Like, I'm done. And the thing
yeah,
is,
yeah,
I cannot. At the same time, I'm empathetic also, because I'm like, we're all raised in the system. Like I said, I also have internalized misogyny. We're all raised in the system, and unfortunately, I think some people were raised to believe that, to believe certain things about femininity and about women. And I think we
yeah,
need to start challenging it. And I think the way that we need to start challenging it is not necessarily by attacking them, but also understanding where they're coming from, and trying to change that, and having these kind of conversations. Like, I've been hurt. I'm hurt, guys. I'm hurt. My friends are hurt.
yeah,
My friends are hurt. Like, I hate using this argument, but it seems to be like the argument that works. It's like, what if it was your mother? What if it was your sister? What if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
your friend, and it's like your best friend, or your
You know what?
child. And the
Yeah,
reason why, yeah, because
it's
apparently they people need to like, you need to get that, you need to have that connection with someone with a woman
Yeah.
in order to be able to understand their value. But every single
Yes.
woman on the street has that value.
Yeah. Agreed. Yep. Agreed.
Panas.
There you go. The Harley Quinn comes in, man. But yeah,
Panas.
it's true. And oftentimes, it's true what you said. Oftentimes whenever I got hurt by any man, like in terms of career or even in my family, I feel like, um, you if you have a girlfriend, if you have a wife in the future, don't do this because it might not get onto your plate, but it will well God will just turn back the time and give back to your siblings. You might
Mm,
not know how the world works, but it's true what you said. In a household, I mean, when you mentioned about like how a guy should be connected to a woman in order for them to actually understand how to treat a
yeah,
woman. Kalau orang tak ada connection tu, right, they will dismiss. And
betul.
I don't know whether in the future we as a women should we understand that? Are we responsible to actually get that hello? You are a man, you need a maternal figure. Just because in your household there's an absence of that, the reason why you are like this is because there's no maternal. You tak faham macam mana perempuan. I mean, sometimes I feel macam gelak dah. I gelak sebab like, why I mean, yeah lah, to think about it, but are you gonna like, okay? I mean, like, in the future kalau you are engaged with a woman in the future, takkan lah you nak terus menerus macam ni right, layan perempuan. You can't do that.
Mm.
So yeah, like you said, you're done.
Or you well, I mean, if the woman is okay
Yeah,
with it, and when I say that, I don't mean like she's okay with like abuse or harassment or rape or like
mm,
any kind of abuse emotionally. Like those, if any one of you in your relationships, in
yeah,
marriages, at your workplace, at home, whatever, if like, that's happening to you, please get help. Like,
yeah,
just and I know it's easy for me for me to say, if you're stuck in the same, especially during the pandemic, right? This is something that
yeah,
happens as well during the pandemic, that abusers and victims coexist in the same space, right? Like just call WAO, call all this Talian and stuff. There are people there that are willing to help you, but the thing is, unfortunately, to get you have to find the strength in yourself to get out, and that's not something easy to do.
yeah,
But I'm saying, like, I think in like again, right, like, I'm again, it's like I want the world to be this certain way, but if it's like, if the guy
yeah,
and the woman who are both conservative in that particular
yeah,
relationship find happiness from each other within those conservative values, I think I'm not going to be the person to say don't do that, as long as it doesn't harm any one of them. But
yeah,
I think the other aspect of it is also to have conversations like these, like to talk about, the differences, like the right to educate women of the rights that we actually do have, and to start that conversation of like, hey, actually we're people.
yeah,
We are people. We have inherent value. Our value is not based on, like
yeah,
other people's love for us, or other people's attention to us, or how much we please other people. It's about
yeah,
us here, living, sitting here with what
yeah,
we want, our dreams, our wants, our safety. Like, to ask yourself, what do I want and what do I need to
yeah,
be peaceful? And I don't say
yeah.
happy, I say peaceful, because happiness is fleeting.
Peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
And that goes for
What
you
I can console
also.
is
You're
that
so amazing. You're so freaking amazing. Like, look at this. We started this, I wouldn't be able to talk also if it wasn't here, and also I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you.
I wouldn't, well, on my end, I wouldn't be able to actually have the thought of like this internalized misogyny because even if it wasn't with you mentioned about this thing, I wouldn't have want to talk about it because I tak tahu, maybe because I don't experience it. But to think when you actually label out like one by one, satu-satu, but I fikir macam like, wow, I've experienced it as well without knowing that it's actually there's a term and it
Mm,
exists. It's just that maybe in my household we don't really talk about it, maybe because like
mm,
I was born and raised in such a way. But what I
mm.
can conclude is that we are all humans, regardless of any gender. Treat with respect one another. That's it.
Betul.
If you don't feel appreciated, put one step back and walk along because that's the best that you can do. You nak nature orang pun, you can only do so much, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
if you're like you said, you're not talking about happiness, you're talking about peaceful because tomorrow is definitely a better day, and you want
yeah,
to be peace, right?
yeah,
You can actually continue and make best out of you because life is all about finding means,
yeah,
right? Want to champion yourself, mean like, yeah, I mean, berapa banyak je you boleh champion, the society, having to tell them, no, it doesn't work that way. It works this
yeah.
way. Probably the term in such a way, like researchers say this, but berapa banyak je orang nak dengar.
Betul, betul.
Myrra Baity, like maybe you can just share in general, like what are your advice for the young women's out there? You as a female hustler for tonight. Yeah,
Ooh, for young women out there.
yeah.
Young women, okay. You might not
Imagine your
know.
yeah
Okay, so
to your
just
female
directly to
fellow
the
women.
camera, front cam. So I was like, you might or you might or might not know or understand your place in the world yet. And there, I would say follow your instinct. As long as you have good intentions, I think follow your instinct. If you feel like you're being ignored, um, don't be afraid to
Yeah,
point it out. Like, well, maybe like just ask, like, why am I being ignored?
yeah,
Like, don't be afraid to draw attention to yourself. And
yeah,
don't worry, you don't have to figure out everything now. A lot of us are still figuring it out. I mean, I'm only 27, I'm not that old, but I remember being like young. I remember being younger and like trying to figure out my identity and trying to figure out like identity for as a woman as well. And
yeah,
you know, yeah, I'll just say don't worry so much about who you're supposed to be.
yeah,
Think about who you want to be, and then work towards that. And find a community of women, who can support you. And that same goes for men too. If you guys want to explore your femininity, or if you guys want to look at the issues within, or if you suspect that you have internalized misogyny, or if you maybe have
yeah,
been called out for it, the first reaction maybe is to be offended and to defend yourself. But
yeah,
if a lot of people are telling you the same thing, I think it's time to have a serious conversation with yourself on why you
yeah.
behave that way.
Mhm.
And yeah, so yeah, I guess those are the two things. And yeah, you're just starting, man. Make mistakes, but make sure to learn from them, and then you're gonna continue make mistakes, but try to make different mistakes every time.
Yeah, amazing. A brilliant, advisors are not just advice. It's actually coming from someone who first experienced it. Second, it's just, um, you know, it's different, giving advices to just a normal community, but it's also coming from your end because you have experienced that,
It's a
So there's some sort of
journey.
yeah, it's a journey, and it's actually a journey that you own it, you've experienced it, right?
You have to,
So
because if you don't own it, if you don't own it, then you have to rely on other people, and it's so much easier for you to work on yourself than it is to work on other people. And
amazing.
also, the journey's not over. I'm still on it.
Well, babe, at the end of the
I'm
day,
pretty
right?
sure.
Life is not a race; it's a journey, guys. I mean, it's for me lah. I feel it's a journey for me. It's not a race. I'm not competing with anyone,
Yeah.
right? But I feel like as simple lah macam like, oh, you dah umur you dah 25, 27, like kenapa tak kahwin lagi? In this household conservative, so macam, I don't put it aside. But yeah, I mean, all this
No, no, no,
makcik-makcik
no,
bawah.
girl, girl, girl. Talk about it. Talk about it. It's fine. Like, I mean, who, what? Hey, we are all millennials, we are all in an economic time where we're all struggling to be able to pay rent, you know. And you want us to get a house and get married
Yeah,
and have children in this economy? Hey,
yeah.
I mean, good. I mean, like, thank you so much for the well wishes. I know, like, they all want happiness, but at the same time, it's like, how? You
Yeah.
tell me, we don't have
No,
time
sometimes
to.
it's actually for the mother, babe. It's actually for the mother. It's for them, not for us. We want to have kids, but to take care of it, dude, you need 1 million, though. You don't even have 1 million. I mean, at least I don't.
I don't
Come on,
either. I don't either. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, if I want to have kids in the next 5 to 6 years, this is how much I need to make. And I'm just like, it's crazy. It's actually
betul.
crazy. Like to have to like you can have kids with like any you can have kids at any particular time, but it's
Yeah,
like it's just but it's difficult financially, emotionally, it's difficult. And right now I feel like a lot of us are just trying to keep our heads above water, especially with the
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah,
We're just
yeah,
trying to pay rent, just and at the same time we're all working, no time to work on ourselves also.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yep,
And then when you
yep,
when you do that, and then you do that and become a parent, then you pass it on to your kid unknowingly.
yep.
you know
So having
but
kids,
that's my personal philosophy. I'm not preaching it to anyone else, please, because we all have our different parenting styles. Don't come after me. Or actually, if you have an opposite opinion, just slide into my DMs in my Instagram, and we can have a chat about it, because I would love to hear your perspective.
yeah. So if anyone wants to actually get connected with Myra, you guys can actually drop her an email or be connected with her the Instagram. I'll drop this email and Instagram link the YouTube description. All right. So yeah, if you guys want to have a chat with Myra, after this, go ahead, because that's the whole point of also this chat, not just to we want to have a continuation of a journey, in terms of having that community who wants to talk about it and be able to actually have a respectful conversation at the end of the day without any judgments. Yeah, because
Yeah.
what do you inspire? What if it's for you? It's only for you. But it's fine to share it out, because at the end of the day, you have a community who's just going to respect at the end of the day. Yeah. So
Yeah.
interesting that you also want to share your project, right? So maybe a thing or two about about your
Oh,
project.
okay. Okay, so this is not my current project. I'm actually working for a project that I can't talk about yet because it's not released. But I'm emceeing a circular economy conference next week.
Oh,
Actually, Victor is the one who's
wow!
handling
Come on,
that.
are you the
So
MC?
yes, I'm the MC.
Oh,
So that's gonna be really fun, and I love it because the circular economy is basically about building a sustainable economy. So we got COVID from bats and from pangolins, or from somewhere, from animals from the wood. So I think maybe we should start treating the environment a little bit better. So if you guys are interested in that, you can tune in. I think Victor, I'll post it up on my Instagram nanti. Also the mug rack. So this is a bunch of the stuff that I used to work on before when I was at Star, and this is just like a compilation of articles. You can also find the hidden cut a write-up feature article there, and you can also go to the hidden cut R.AGE on YouTube to see the full documentary on female circumcision in Malaysia. I'll just drop some hints. 93% of Muslim women in Malaysia are circumcised, and not a lot of people know about it.
Really?
Are you thinking if you're circumcised? Because I went through the same thing. I was like, wait, this was
Go!
done to me when
You
I was
got
a
me.
baby.
Yeah, you got me, man. Okay, I'm gonna have a one-to-one conversation with you after this. Serious lah. Okay, okay. After
Betul,
this.
betul. Also, watch the documentary, because in the documentary we actually managed to get a person from Jakim on camera to talk about it, which is crazy, because like usually most of the articles that you have, if you see from Jakim, right, it's like
Yeah.
it is a general statement issued from Jakim, but we actually have an individual there talking about it. So we looked at different perspectives as well for the female circumcision. So hopefully you guys will love it. And yeah, later, can kiki. Wait, actually, okay, you know what?
Amazing. Okay,
This one
babe.
I'm fine sharing. Wait, this one I'm fine sharing. Just 2 seconds. I'm just like, I found out that I was circumcised the night before the documentary came out. So that was how I found out.
Oh my god. Okay, jap. I'm mind blown, jap. Okay, oh wow, babe. You caught me off guard though. Seriously. Like, whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But the
Okay,
good thing is like,
I'm
yeah,
gonna have
you
that
just watch the
conversation with you
documentary.
after
Yeah,
this. Babe,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Myra, thank you very much for actually
Oh my god, I'm talking too
for
much.
coming
Okay,
on board with me to actually have this 30 minutes. We actually
extra. More
you
than
want to link it over at the drop it in the private chat so that I can just put it also later lah. I'll put it
oh,
in the
the hidden cut, is it?
yeah, so they can actually view it as well.
Okay,
Myra,
cool.
thank you very much. Um, am I losing you?
No, 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 you're not. I'm actually looking for the hidden cut link.
Oops, oops.
All right. So I'm gonna drop it in the private chat
Cool.
so you guys can watch
So,
it if you want.
Myra, thank you very much for actually coming on board. Having this personal journey. Yep. Got it. Okay, let me put this up.
Oh, you can also check out this is not my project that I worked on, but I think it's a really good project for this as well. You can look at Predator in my phone, and Vice also has a really good documentary about female circumcision in Singapore. So if you want to find out more about that, you can look at these different sources as well.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you, Zen. Also, thank you, Ashlyn, so much for joining and staying. Oh, and she wants a part. Ashley wants a part two, so maybe we should do a part two. And thank you, Kai. Thank you, Shashi.
Itulah,
Thank you, Yuva. I don't know you, but cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is great. If you want to have a discussion, just let me know.
amazing. We have your cheerleaders on the side who's actually very supportive. At the end of the day, like we need all these supportive friends to
Betul.
actually
Thank you
help
guys so
us
much.
to get through the day. Because we are all humans, right? Yeah, we all
Betul.
have our sadness, our ups and downs. So it's great to actually have friends who is so supportive on the side.
Thank you so much, guys.
Myra, thank you very much for actually coming on board with me to actually have this 30 minutes conversation. Padahal it's not 30 minutes, but it's actually almost 1 hour and 1 hour 30 minutes that we actually talk about this. Ada agak is gonna take more. Condom. I'm glad we did it. It's actually a very fruitful journey of a personal experience for coming from someone who holistically, and going through that wholesome journey of a household. It's not easy, Yeah, it's not easy, especially coming. You're sharing your personal experience. Tak semua orang ada that determine. I mean, that keberanian lah, I call it. Thank you very much, Myra.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you so
speak
much.
to you
And also
inside
thank you.
after this.
Okay. Also, thank you for holding this platform and allowing all of us to be this candid and to be able to talk about this and to make it so easy for us to talk about it. So thank you.
Well, you coming on board is actually, it's not a bonus, but I need that, or else I wouldn't be able to actually hold up. I can only provide the platform, but in terms of the content, it comes from you. And tonight was definitely a proof of it. If I could give it a range from a 10, I give it 20/10 because it's just amazing. Definitely amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
So to those actually watching this tonight, thank you very much, guys, for actually commenting, supporting, and tuning in into this conversation with Myra and also me. So if you guys want to actually be connected with Myra, just go ahead to her Instagram. I will actually put it inside the description below. And thank you very much, guys. You have a good night, Myra. Good night,
Night. Mwah.
guys. Virtual hug.
Virtual hug.